Cable Bahamas employs over 500 people. Of the 500, how many of them do you think are Bahamian?
About 3/4.
Okay.
I will say 80%.
I would say all.
All?
I would say about 98%.
98%.
Yes.
I was going about 80%, so but 98 sounds better.
I'd say 80%.
I think about 95% of them are Bahamian, yes.
What if I told you 99%?
99% of the people is Bahamian?
99%.
That's true?
Excellent.
Yeah? So Cable Bahamas is entirely for the Bahamian people.
That is correct. Cable Bahamas is widely represented by Bahamians.
Well, now you know.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight, news how the AG's office plans to put a dent in the number of people released on bail being killed. Jaquan Charlton's attorney still seeking an appeal. The FNM says it's highly unlikely Prime Minister Perry Christie will give up another opportunity to run for PLP leader. Plus, the Democratic National Alliance sets its convention for later this year. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. The number of people targeted and killed within months of being released on bail is an issue Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson says her department is trying to get a handle on. Earlier this week, Minister of State for National Security Keith Bell revealed that over the past 6 years, 138 people were murdered within 4 months of them being released on bail. In at least one case, he pointed to a victim being killed within 3 weeks of his release. Maynard Gibson said the only way to remedy the problem is to reduce the number of people being granted bail by the courts for serious offenses.
Since January year to date, of the 148 appearances of a bail, and some of those appearances are repeat appearances, only 8 people, these are people charged with murder and manslaughter, only 8 got bail and 25 were refused bail. Now the reason that that is happening is that we have actually brought laser-like focus to these matters.
According to the Ministry of National Security, of the 123 murders that occurred last year, 30 of the victims were on bail for serious offenses such as rape, armed robbery, and murder. At least 16 of the 73 people murdered this year were on bail for serious crimes as well. Maynard Gibson says prosecutors are ensuring now that all case files are properly analyzed so that courts can make better decisions about who gets bail, particularly those with long track records.
And we make sure that when we, on our side, appear in court to oppose the bail, we work very, very closely with the police. So everything about that accused person is brought to the table, likelihood to interfere with witnesses, whether they belong to a gang, have they been released on bail before, all of the information, so that we can give the court all of the information. Remember now, we don't decide whether someone is given bail or not. That's entirely a matter for the court. But we did recognize that, unfortunately, in my view, the court wasn't sufficiently being assisted in the past. And we believe that the reason that we're seeing a decrease in those numbers is that now we're giving the court more information. But we want to be very clear that we do not decide. It is only the court who decides who gets bail or not.
More than 7,500 people were released on bail between 2007 and 2011, according to the Minister of State for National Security. Well, the young man whose conviction and release by a lay magistrate resulted in an investigation of a government minister is remaining hopeful as he awaits his appeal on the matter. That's according to his lawyer, Christina Galanos, who revealed that they're still appealing his conviction and sentence. Jasmine Brown has the update.
Galanos insists that she and her clients have not given up on that appeal. But there have been hiccups along the way, admits Galanos. Earlier this month, the attorney had to withdraw Charlton's appeal to the Court of Appeal on a jurisdictional point. Charlton was tried and convicted by Mayaguana Island Administrator Zephaniah Newbold, who was acting as a lay magistrate. For that reason, the appeal should have been heard by the chief magistrate. Galano says the mix-up came due to a lack of records concerning her client's case.
Once we arrived at the Court of Appeal, it was there determined that the section that Jaquan was charged under was Section 247, the one that carries the lesser time. And it was upon that basis that I made an application, or I sought the court's leave to abandon or withdraw the appeal.
Newbold convicted Charlton on March 19th of resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer and sentenced him to 3 months imprisonment. However, he was never taken to prison, as Newbold ordered his release after allegedly receiving 2 calls from Gray, who was Minister of Local Government at the time and thus Newbold's boss. Newbold told our news team he released Charlton outright and not on bail after an order came forth. In the first appeal she filed, Galanos had alleged that material illegality or irregularity occurred during the proceeding on March 19th. Despite the first setback, Galanos said it was a learning experience and added that an appeal has since been filed in the magistrate's court. Now they are waiting for a court date.
This situation is like a movie. It gets more and more and more and more interesting as the day goes by. There's not much precedent to go off on this because I'm hard-pressed to find a case that took place before where someone was convicted, sentenced to 3 months, and released, all within a matter of a couple of hours. I'm hard-pressed to find that. So, yes, that's the situation.
Meantime, Gray was cleared of any wrongdoing in May after Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson announced that no charges would be filed due to the conflicting nature of the evidence. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, as some senior PLP politicians expressed their preparedness to take the helm of the governing party, Chairman of the Free National Movement, Michael Pintard, said he seriously doubts those politicians will have their shot at leadership in this election cycle. Earlier this week, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis and Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe both said they're prepared to take charge of the organization if party leader Prime Minister Perry Christie steps down. However, they indicated that they support Christie as leader and are working under the assumption that he will remain party leader. Christie will be at least 73 if he runs for re-election in the 2017 general election, which would mean he would be nearly 80 years old at the end of another 5-year term. Pintard said he seriously doubts the PLP will have any other leader than Christie heading into the next general election, but of the 2 options for leader in Davis and Wilchcombe, he believes Davis would emerge the victor.
Mr. Christie is unlikely to go. He absolutely loves his job, and I don't see him leaving. In the event that he leaves, I fully expect that Mr. Davis, by virtue of his access to resources from a wide range of sources, is likely to become the next leader. We certainly do not believe that the public will trust the governance of the country in his hand.
Christie has not indicated whether he intends to run in the next general election, but his last public comments were that he promised his family the 2012 general election would be his last. PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts confirmed the party will hold its convention during the last week in October at the Malia Nassau Beach Resort. But while the PLP prepares for convention, Pintard said the FNM is preparing its current team for the campaign trail.
I'm amused that persons continue to ask about a convention, or a letter may be written to the editor encouraging a convention, given the fact that on November 21st, which is really roughly around 6 months ago, we've just had a convention. And so I don't anticipate that we're going to, in less than a year, hold another convention. We're about the business of readying the party to contest an election that may be as early as 2016, but quite possibly 2017.
When asked last month if he expects the FNM to hold another convention before 2017, party deputy leader Peter Turnquist said the FNM is mandated to hold a convention every 2 years, but the current leadership is prepared. Well, DNA leader Granville McCartney says it's no problem if he's voted out as party leader ahead of the next general election. Critics of the DNA have called the party a one-man band. But McCartney says when the DNA holds its convention in November, all positions are up for grabs.
On the 13th of November 2015, we intend to have a convention in preparation for the next election. All seats will become available. Our constituencies will be up and running. By that time, we would have a very good idea as to who the candidates will be, or the majority of those candidates. And we look forward to seeing you there.
In fact, McCartney said anyone who's qualified can run at the party's upcoming convention. He said he's not at all concerned about losing the top post in the party he started.
Who is a financial member can run for all positions, from the leader straight down. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is welcome. That is what democracy is all about. Absolutely. The bottom line is, I've said it before, we in the DNA we have a deep bench. There's not only one person in the DNA who can lead the party. But I'm not nervous at all. Certainly if the members of the DNA wish for me to remain as their leader, I will oblige, but I'm not nervous is the last thing on my mind when it comes down to that.
Well, questions have arisen following the departure of Marco City MP Greg Moss and Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins from the PLP that they would be approached to run on the DNA ticket. McCartney says neither the DNA or the politicians have reached out to each other.
I know that Mr. Moss is friendly with the deputy leader, and so is Dr. Rollins. And they meet regularly before the resignations and after. I know Dr. Rollins prior to politics, but I've not had an opportunity to speak one-on-one with him since his resignation.
Well, stay with us when MB12 returns. Government's announcement that energy bills will decrease by 40% with new management at BEC being called a political ploy. We'll tell you about that and other stories when we come right back.